In the dusty bends of forgotten Ohio back road sat the Twin Pines Trailer Park, a place where rust met desperation. Among the row of fading mobile homes, Clyde and Tessa ran a quiet operation that paid their bills. Barely. There was a rundown airstream that smelled of solvents and humidity, hidden behind old tires and half-broken swing set. They weren't masterminds, just desperate. Clyde had a knack for chemistry, Tessa for improvising. Every time a police cruiser rolled past the park, they'd shut off every light, crawl under the sink, hold their breath. The first time they slipped away, it was sheer luck. The deputies stopped to chat with their neighbor about a barking dog. The second time, they used a stash of fireworks to create confusion in the woods, buying just enough time to bore their operation into duffel bags and vanish down a back road. But with every close call came more fear. The smell, the noise, the cash, it all drew attention. By the fourth time they dodged the sheriff, Clyde began, keeping a packed bag ready by the door. Their last escape wasn't clever. It was desperate. When the glow of red and blue lights slipped across the dirt, Tessa yanked the breaker switch and they fled on foot into cornfields. They left everything behind, the trailer, the lab, the money, and for the first time the silence of running felt like relief rather than fear. They didn't get caught, but they never went back either. Some say Clyde found honest work fixing air conditioners. Others say they still drift from town to town, avoiding those sirens that hum. One way or another, they learned that when you live on the edge long enough, the only real escape is walking away. The cornfield wasn't kind, however. By sunrise, Clyde's shoes were shredded, and Tessa's arms were cut by stalks and wire. They found refuge in an abandoned barn, 10 miles from the trailer park. For a few weeks they hid, living off canned beans, whispering about starting over somewhere far away. But addiction is a chain that doesn't break so easily. Clyde slipped away one night. He left to find what he swore would be just a small fix. He didn't come back until next morning, gaunt and trembling. Tessa saw it in his eyes, the same hollow look that had claimed so many in their town. Things spiraled. The winter was brutal. The cans ran empty, and the hope they clung to rotted under the weight of withdrawal and regret. Then came the fire. A dropped lantern, the dry hay, it all went up in minutes. Clyde dragged Tessa out just before the roofs collapsed, his hands blistered and bleeding. As they watched the barn burn, something in him broke for good. That night under a silver sky, smeared with smoke, Clyde swore never again. He walked to town at dawn and sat on the steps of the sheriff's office, waiting for the doors to open. He confessed it all, the cooking, the running, the chaos that hollowed them out. He served his time. Tessa visited every month, holding it down, his letters full of plans for a clean start, for building something honest. When he finally got out, they bought a small food truck, cheap used, painted bright yellow. They called the Second Chances, and parked near the same road that used to lead back to Twin Pines. Every Saturday morning, Clyde would wipe down the counter, watching the crowd gather, people from the same kinds of places they'd once tried to escape. He wasn't proud of what he'd done, but he was alive, and now he was useful. And for the first time in a long, long while, that was enough. Until He sees his old dealer. It all went bad. One humid afternoon, 2 years after his release, Clyde was manning the food truck alone. Tessa out visiting her sister. The lunchtime crowd thinned. He was wiping down the counter when the doorbell jingled. The man who stepped inside looked like a ghost from the past. Hollow cheeks, slick grin, and the same faded leather jacket. It was Ray, his old supplier. The one who taught him how to cook clean, back when everything still felt like freedom. Ray leaned on the counter, eyes darting around the food truck. Didn't think I'd find you flipping burgers, Clyde, said with a smirk. Heard you were still good with chemistry. Got some folks upstate looking to buy. Hit Clyde like a promise. That phantom ache. The smell, the rush, the promise. Old habits whispered from corners of his mind. He could almost taste it, the easy money, the illusion of control for a heartbeat. He hesitated. Then he saw his reflection in the stainless steel fridge, a clean shirt, steady hands, a face that didn't twitch. He thought of Tessa, of the letters she'd written on the lined paper during those long months of waiting. He thought of every person who bought their breakfast sandwich, who smiled like the world hadn't forgot them. Clyde stepped back and opened the service window. You need to leave, Ray. We're done with that life, and I'm done with you. Ray smirked, faded. He muttered something, shoved his hand in his pocket, and disappeared into the crowd. Clyde stood there, heart hammering. It felt less like victory and more like survival, fragile but real. That night, Tessa came home to find him sitting by the food truck, staring at the horizon. He came back, Clyde said softly, but I didn't go with him. Tessa sat beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. Then you really made it out, she whispered. In the stillness of that Ohio dusk, with the smell of cooking oil and redemption in the air, Clyde finally believed her.